Hey everyone, welcome back to Week Ahead Astrology Breakdown. I'm Matthew Oliver with Stillwater Alchemy, and this week kind of feels like unfinished business coming to a close or gaining more clarity. There's definitely going to be some work involved. We just had that full moon last week, and with that full moon in Cancer, it was opposing Pluto and Mercury retrograde. So there might have been things that have come up to the surface, things that were very obvious, or now in hindsight you can understand why you had to go through certain things, or where there still needs to be a little bit more work to make your life easier. And so the good news is this week Mars is finishing up its 10-week retrograde period, which is amazing. Of course, just like with any retrograde, there's still going to be those post retrograde shadows. However, you can look to the house in your chart ruled by Gemini to see what major lessons you've learned over the past 10 weeks, to see where you are stronger, where you can approach things in a different vantage point. I know for me, Gemini rules my 6th whole sign house. It has to do about work and physical health. And I made a lot of revisions on how I want to pursue my work. And I have been going to the gym a lot more and getting a lot stronger and doing things that I've always wanted to do my entire life. So sometimes with these retrogrades, they really can be quite profound, or they can really give us a lot to uncover or to learn or to reevaluate, right? All these key retrograde themes. And of course, Mercury is still going to be retrograde until the 18th of January. So lots to uncover here. I feel like uncovering unfinished business, finding out the truth is also going to be a thing when the moon enters Virgo. So let's hop in to the week ahead, shall we? Also, I want to let everyone know that I've changed my hours for bookings on my website. So I opened up some hours on Wednesday and switched the hours up on Saturday. So if you're wanting to book a one-on-one, you can go over to my website and check that out. Or if you still haven't done the Cancer full moon workshop and you want to integrate some of these themes, the start of the week would be a good day to do so. Why is that? So we're starting off the week on Monday, January 9th, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The moon is going to be making that opposition to Saturn. What I was kind of thinking here, because remember when we're talking about the moon, it can relate to our body in addition to emotions, the mother, all of these themes. The moon is making that sextile to Mars, opposition to Saturn. Leo rules the heart, the spine, the upper back. And so I'm kind of thinking with that moon opposing Saturn, figuratively, I was kind of feeling intuitively like you might feel like there's a lot of pressure on you, or that you're working really hard to get ahead, or you're working really hard to do certain things. You might feel like you're working more and not getting the exact result that you want, or just working really hard at the gym and maybe your upper back or just your back needs a little bit of TLC, tender love and care. So if you wanted to get a massage on this day, or even book a massage for later this week, I think that'd be a great idea. Or if you have a lover or a loved one who's proficient in massage, I think that could be really good. Just know that in order to be seen or heard, don't be afraid to put in that work or to get the resources, so that if there's a lot on your plate at the start of the week, what interactions or what types of work are going to make you feel seen, heard, loved, that you're going to enjoy this type of work. There might even just be, with regards to Saturn, not a lot of time to do as many things as you would like to do. So being a good usher of your time. And the good thing here with this sextile to Mars is that there might be certain things that you needed to get done last week that you're going to finish up this week. But since you're now doing tasks from last week and then now trying to get them done this week, it might just be a lot going on. However, the moon is still an aspect to Jupiter, right? So just know that if your heart is in it, great results will ensue. So just think about that. And I would even take a couple moments at the start of the week just to map out what needs to get done, what's going to bring you joy and happiness, and maybe set a reward, being like, if I get all these things done by Monday or by Wednesday, I'm going to treat myself to this, or I'm going to take myself out to my favorite cafe, or I'm going to do blank. So it gives you some little nuggets of inspiration to work towards. All right. Once we move to Tuesday, we can see that the moon is finishing off her transit in Leo at 29 degrees. I'm just going to fast forward 2 hours so we can see the moon in Virgo, because there's a couple things here on Tuesday that are noteworthy with the moon now in Virgo. So with that, the moon is now making that square to Mars retrograde and is also making a trine to Mercury retrograde. This is what I was feeling in terms of whether it's conflict resolution or something is on your mind that you just need to confront or to finish. Let's say there's a conversation with a superior that you need to get done in order to move ahead, or you're waiting on a certain document or contract. This might be a good time to just reach out and follow up on that if you're still haven't heard news back, or maybe you reached out last week and now you're getting a little bit more anxious or frustrated by the lack of when is this going to get done. The one thing I will say is that either expressing this verbally, even just saying out loud to yourself, if there's something on your mind that's really causing frustration or anger, because then it could have an effect. Remember, with Virgo, it rules the intestines. It could make your stomach hurt, or you could be stress eating, or you could not be eating at all, which could then just affect your overall energy level. So if there is something on your mind, be sure to express it in some way, shape, or form. I do think just with that Virgo moon making the trine to Mercury retrograde, that something will come up, or certain things you've been waiting on will come forward. And if you just need to give that gentle nudge through a little bit of correspondence, that's not a bad idea at all. Now, when we move on to Wednesday, I'm going to move this back to, I'll move this back to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So when we get to Wednesday, now we can see this exact trine. So if certain things didn't come to fruition on Tuesday, there's definitely going to be some kind of news or energy coming through. This could also just be if there are little Mercury retrograde hiccups, you have the exact mindset or skill or way of rectifying that very quickly. We're still dealing with that square to Mars on Wednesday. So just know that Tuesday and Wednesday, and this is just what's coming through intuitively. It could be one of those things where you're dealing with a lot, and it could be little things that don't normally bother you, get under your skin, or would want you to lash out in a verbal way. So if someone or something is not working out in the way that you would like, this might be a good way to see how a different form of communication can help you resolve this conflict. So if someone in your family keeps doing the same thing over and over and over again, I know when I lived with my brother in university, the biggest fight was always because of dishes every single time. And me approaching that topic in the same way is not going to help. When I approached it in a different way, or if I maybe made light of it or made a joke or made a deal, that was better than me just telling him that he was useless and they should wash the dishes, even though he was like in med school and studying really hard. I would just always get irritated because I'm like, how can you be so smart and so hardworking, and yet the dishes are a mountain in the sink and you haven't done them in a week? We all have our little things that can cause irritation and frustration. So if you have that on Wednesday, try a different tactic to see if that is going to help you. Now, when we get to Thursday, this is when a lot of things are going to be interesting. Here is why. On Thursday, January 12th, Mars is going to station direct at around 3:57 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. When a planet is stationing, whether it's stationing retrograde or whether it's stationing direct, it's almost like that planet is taking a little nap. There's no energy available. It's not moving at all. So that's why I was hinting, if there's conflict or you need to get an answer to ease your frustration or to ease your mind, do it at the start of the week. Because if you try and do it on Thursday, the energy of Mars isn't there to gain on either way. So let's say you've been meaning to have this conversation with a loved one and you try and do it on Thursday. I think, especially look at this, the moon is opposing Neptune. It's going to be one of those things where you're not going to be able to get your point across. You might have your emotions be overwhelmed, and the logic that you came into that argument with is now gone because maybe the other person knows how to push your buttons, and then this is not going to be a good time to settle this or to come to a clear resolution. So Thursday is just interesting in general because we also have the moon making a trine to the sun and Pluto. So I think it's a better day to get firm on what you need, what you want, to kind of see what's been going on at the start of 2023 and see if your goals are aligned. This is also going to be day 2, given the moon is opposing Neptune, that you might just want to rely on faith or manifestation or your spiritual practice, or maybe even a bit of surrendering. You know what you're wanting, you know what you're wanting to build, you're knowing what you're wanting to create, but by consistently pushing and working and being in that masculine energy, that might not be the best move on Thursday. There could be a way where you can just see things and approach things from a different angle and let go of needing to push or to do. And if people are messaging you or wanting to interact with you on Thursday and you don't have the energy, you can just leave it for the weekend, especially when that moon goes into Libra. That will probably be a better day for any kind of resolution or conflict management. All right. In multiple ways. So Thursday, even I'm very, very, very curious to see how this will wrap up. And you can even just sit with this moon Neptune opposition and not to get overwhelmed. I also think just intuitively, like taking a bath, taking a long shower, if you can be near water, I think that'll just help calm things, or even just making sure that you're drinking a lot of water. I think it'll be very hard on Thursday, even to make certain like sense of things or trying to correspond to people. It'll just be like, it might be one of those days where all you want to do is scroll on social media, or that you just want to disconnect. So if you have the opportunity to do so, try not to pile anything on Thursday. Do it at the start of the week or do it after, but keep Thursday more open. I also think that Thursday could be a good day for energy work, for spiritual work, because then we're going to lean on the principles of Neptune and this moon Pluto for breakthroughs, as opposed to trying to work or do. We're going to be in the receptive and to heal. So I know there's a lot going on that day. I just want to give a couple different options so that we know how to properly use the start of the week. When we get to late week, we know what we need to do. So Friday is significantly better, in my opinion. The moon is now in Libra. She's making that opposition to Jupiter, and she's making that applied trine to Venus. So this is really nice. This might be where you finally are getting some headway or getting a lot of answers, or this is like a great day to be social, to be out with friends. And they could be one of those times where it's like your bill is calmed, you meet some like cute people at the bar, you get to go out on the town. There could be a lot of really great energy here. I also very strongly believe that Friday would be a day where past lovers or past friends in general are reaching out, because we have the moon in Libra, which is often, how shall we say, eager for engaging in activities. The moon in Libra is making a square to Mercury retrograde and that trine to Venus. So especially, let's say if on Thursday you were overwhelmed or frustrated, or you feel like you've been working so hard and you just want to release some energy, it might be very tempting to go back to, let's say, an old friend that likes to party or an old lover. So this is when we want to kind of lean on the principles of Saturn here with Venus, and then the moon will be making that applied trine to Saturn tomorrow on Saturday to hold firm in your boundaries. And at least now Mars is gaining speed, even if it's just a little bit day by day, it's gaining that momentum. So we can see here there's a grand air trine between the moon in Libra, Venus in Aquarius, and Mars in Gemini. So this can be a day work-wise where you make a lot of connections, great day to post content on social media, great day to advertise, because you were building back up that momentum, or just needing or wanting to connect with others, brainstorming for intimacy, whatever it may be. Friday's a really good day, so please take advantage of it, especially after coming out. It might even just feel, because that any aspect to Neptune, including the moon, can be very nebulous. It might be a little bit confusing, and that's also the energy here where you might even get that text from a lover or from a friend on Thursday night to be like, oh, we should hang out tomorrow being Friday. And then you'll have to decide if that's a good idea or not. And in general, we also have the moon making that square to Mercury retrograde on Friday. So it could just be like wires being crossed, or you have to be very careful with your words if someone's expecting one thing and you want another from that date, from that business deal, making sure that everyone's on the same page and that there's no miscommunication, especially if those plans were made on Thursday. Now, if we move on to Saturday, we can see that the moon is still making those really great aspects to Venus and Saturn, but now the moon is making that more of a square to the sun. So this is just in general, with Capricorn maybe being a bit more of a Saturnine, more independent energy, where Libra is more harmonious, wanting to connect with others. I feel like there could be a toss up between getting some work done around the house or getting some self-development work done, or going out, being with friends, being social. So just being able to manage your time properly. You could do it all, of course. I mean, this sun and moon can often be a connection of like head versus heart. If there are decisions you have to make or things that are going on across your plate, that which one is going to rule out, that's kind of your decision. However, I think it's going to be more of a heart matter given that the moon is making that supportive energy with Venus. So this could even be like I was feeling before, like reconciliation or just making up with someone or coming together. It might be like someone is wanting to reach out to get closure or clarity, and you actually come to an amicable agreement. So maybe that Mercury in Capricorn is like, is this good long term? Do you really want to meet up with this person? Will it be tempting? And then the moon in Libra is like, no, I think with Venus in a Saturn ruled sign, we can actually meet up and connect, and it won't tempt me in any way. It won't cross any boundaries, but I do warrant the warning from Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, but I'm going to go in this anyway and get a good result. I just honestly think for many people, it's going to be as I said at the start of this video, that kind of unfinished business or connecting with people or even just connecting with ourselves. That could be also an energy too, right? Like let's say you set a goal to work out 4 days a week, and on Saturday you have a choice to hang out with friends or abide to your workout plan. So maybe you can get to both done, but knowing that you're going to stand firm in what you believe in, standing firm in your boundaries is still going to win out at the end of the day. And how you think about things, maybe before you're like, well, if I want to go out and have fun, like I maybe don't have time to go and work out or take that precaution for my health. But it's like, no, you can rework that energy of your mindset to have a more balanced approach. So this could also just be a revising of a mindset that happens over this weekend. And then when we get to Sunday, Sunday's interesting. I think Sunday, depending on how you worked Thursday and Friday and Saturday, is going to be either very emotionally healing, and that you can release certain relationships, release certain lovers, release certain past pain or trauma with the moon conjunct the South Node. If it goes another way, it could be just a very emotional day, given that the moon is opposing Uranus, it's conjunct the South Node. There's a lot going on there. So it kind of just depends. I do think that whether it's autonomy and your power within yourself or just finding out a truth now that the sun is within that 3-degree orb of Pluto, I think you'll just know where you stand within yourself, in relationships, at work by the end of the week. And you might just want to spend some time alone with that moon in Scorpio, or just connecting with really specific people that you can rely on and trust to hold space. You might have had an amazing date or having a scandalous story to share, and that moon in Scorpio might just need someone to either vent to or someone to hold space with it so it can process all of the emotions of what it's feeling. So it is quite an energetic, intense week, as one would expect with a Mars station and Mars moving now direct at the end of the week. It is just poetic sometimes, that moon opposing Neptune on the Thursday, and then the Libra moon right after, in terms of either reconciliation or just recalibrating our energy. So know that if you've been going through a lot these past couple of weeks at the start of 2023, if you've been exhausted and that full moon in Cancer brought a lot to the surface, or you're still integrating things that you've been learning since 2022, I think a lot of that will come into play this week to get a firm handle on it and to get to the closure or to get answers or to get the documents in front of you to start progressing. Because once you get to the week after in January and we're moving into Aquarius season on the 20th, things will shift. And then once we get to February, there are no planets retrograde. Everything is direct in February and March. So lots to look forward to. All right. So the astrology question of the week, a lot of people are asking me, because I've been seeing a lot of spiritual accounts and people have been saying, oh, what do you consider a new year? Like, do you honor 2023 in terms of cycles and energy and astrology? So I talked about this in my email newsletter. If you are not subscribed, you can just go to our website on stillwateralchemy.com and sign up so you get those updates regularly. I usually post exclusive content on there so that people that are signed up just get that, and it's just for them kind of thing. But in regards to a new year, and I mentioned this in the newsletter because I had talked to a client and we were discussing this as well, that some people look at an energetic new year with Aries season, with Aries season being the start of the zodiac wheel. And then a lot of people, it makes sense to them to start a new energetic year with Aries season because in the northern hemisphere, that's also the spring equinox. So spring, new life being birthed, check, check. However, for our friends in the southern hemisphere, Aries season marks autumn, which doesn't have the same correlation as spring. But then we also have lunar new year, which is going to be happening in a couple of weeks. And then, of course, January 1st, that marks a new calendar year. I have no problem with honoring any of them or all of them truly. If it works for you to set goals at the start of the year, at the start of the month, at the start of a zodiac season, at the start of each season, it's what works best for you and how you want to get behind these themes. If it doesn't make sense for you to start a new year on January 1st, then don't. If you feel very motivated and alive right now, also do so. If we're going from what I get really specific with the astrology, you start a brand new 12-month cycle on your birthday, on your solar return. So with my clients in a natal chart reading, if it's around their birthday, then we'll do a whole annual perfection reading for the year ahead. So we can literally map out month by month what the next 12 months is going to entail, what to look out for, which planet's going to be their time lord. It's one of my favorite timing techniques in astrology. And that for me makes the most sense because when we're tracking a 12-month cycle from your birthday, it's so specific to you. It's not going to be a collective level, but how you work through these energies. So then, for example, if you are in a annual perfection year that during Capricorn season is very activating for you, then you can go full steam ahead. You can get more specific and you can really structure yourself to benefit well. Also, another thing to note, this is just for everyone outside of annual perfections. You can look to your natal chart as well. So let's say you're a Capricorn rising, then your first house is going to be stimulated always during Capricorn season. The first house is the house of self. You always find your rising sign in the first house. So this is going to be a really good time most years for Capricorn rising individuals. You're going to be seen or going to feel activated to initiate new things or to present yourself to the world in a new way, especially given that Capricorn is a cardinal sign. Now, let's say you are an Aquarius rising. That means that Capricorn rules your 12th house, which is all about isolation, retreat, self-care, mental and spiritual well-being, in addition to vices, addictions, fears. So if you're an Aquarius rising, every Capricorn season, you might feel like you just want to go on a vacation or you want to get away or you don't want to necessarily work as hard because you're going to be very sleepy or that you're going to be wanting to take it a little bit more easy until you get to Aquarius season. And this is all going to change, of course, based on the transits. But this year we have Mercury retrograde during Capricorn season. So then that also throws an additional energy. So all of this is to say that when you are deciding how you want to honor energetic cycles, do what feels best for you. Because if you listen to everyone else and try and take that into your own opinion, but then intuitively you're like, well, no, like this doesn't feel good for me. I feel like I just want to rest right now. But everyone's saying that Aries season is a new energetic year, that I should be going, that I should be activated. You're going to feel like you're doing something wrong. When in reality, if we're talking about Aries season and you're a Taurus rising, then you might feel a bit different because, of course, then Aries would rule your 12th house. So I want you all to always trust your intuition in all ways, but especially when we're talking about spiritual principles, because what works for a majority of people might not work for you and vice versa. So trust in that. If you're ever curious about looking at your natal chart to learn more, whether it be about annual perfections or which seasons are more activating than not, by all means, book in for a reading. We can go through that intensively so you have more of an understanding on how to utilize these energies to your advantage. All right. I'll put the link for that below in the description of the video, as well as the link for the Cancer Full Moon Workshop if you still want to engage in that. And of course, the 2023 astrology guide, which breaks down every single transit all year long, is also a great tool to better your understanding of astrology. So that'll all be there for you to dig into if you so choose. All right. Thank you all for watching. I trust that you will use this week's energy to your advantage, get ahead of the curve, do some goal mapping at the start of the week, do some intention setting, even little things like getting your laundry done, getting your food stock, so that when we get to Thursday onward and things might be a little iffy, that you're grounded, you have the things that make you feel safe and secure so that you can release, surrender. If we're talking about massage or energy work, Wednesday, Thursday would be great days to book that in this week. And then any kind of reconciliation or connecting with loved ones or past relationships, Friday, Saturday, those are a good day to do so. Sunday should be a day of self-care, release, being with yourself or close loved ones that can hold space for you. That'd be the best way to utilize this week, in my opinion. All right. Have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.